I'm ready.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm not ready yet. Ready?
Ready.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome
Welcome.
to the Unhinged Bookcast, a podcast hosted by Jess and LJ, who love all things fantasy books. I'm LJ.
And I'm Jess, and we're happy to have you back again.
Whether we're deep diving into thoughts and theories or just riding the vibes, we love discussing our current reads with each other and now with all of you.
We are currently reading book 3 in the Kindred Curse series by Penn Cole, and tonight we're discussing chapters 1 through 19 of Heat of the Everflame. This is episode 6 in our Kindred Curse series.
We'll be finishing out this series in a few short weeks and then jumping into another series that we will start giving you hints to guess tonight at the end of the episode.
We are taking the book club style approach in our podcast, so if you're reading along with us, this will be spoiler free for you as long as you've read through both Spark and Glow, which is books 1 and 2, as well as our part 1 chapter section of Heat.
However, if you have already finished this series, please be considerate of us and our fellow readers and refrain from leaving spoilers in the comments.
And as always, these are adult fantasy books, so this is your content warning for the naughty words we use, as well as possible discussion of spicy and violent scenes from the book that may not be suitable for those little ears around you.
We do enjoy these types of conversations, but we will do our best to remind you to cover those sensitive ears beforehand.
Also, quick reminder that you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram for the days between episodes.
And please like our YouTube videos if you are enjoying them and subscribe to the channel to get notifications of new episodes on Tuesdays, as well as random bonus episodes.
As always, we like to break our discussions down into different categories: characters, world building, history and lore, clues and foreshadowing, honorable mentions, and then lastly, our personal thoughts and theories.
Also, we'll be adding to our counters for cries, growling, and jaw ticking at the end of the episode, as well as our first clue for you guys to guess what our next book series will be. Now, let's get this discussion started.
All right, so characters, starting us off as always, is Diem, our female main character.
Mhm.
Um, I always have a hard time figuring out what to say about her because we find out so much more about her every time. But
Right?
first of all, like we've been saying it, but there is so much more to her than meets the eye. And we get little tidbits
Yes.
here and there as we read. We also find out that she feels quote unquote wrong to the king of Igneos while in his land,
Mm-hmm.
and not like a crown would normally feel through the
Yep.
forging bond magic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And her blood is definitely special. I mean, it hasn't like fully been confirmed yet, but there's too many clues in this chapter chunk. Um, her
There's
blood
a
is
lot
special.
about her blood in this.
There
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And her magic is definitely special as well, which I have theories about her magic later, so I'm not going to get into it just yet. But
Ooh, yeah. Jess has got some theories.
yes, I do.
Can't wait. All right. We always got to have Henry, even though we don't really
Always.
see or hear from him in this section. We do know that he was on the island and knew about the attack.
Mm-hmm. And then Luther took him back to Lumnos after the attack, too.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Luther, so again, I mean, he's pretty much our male main character, so lots to say about him. But for now, we not really find out, but we know he's willing to do anything to protect Diem, and not just because she's queen, because they're mated, which has not been confirmed,
Not been
but they are.
confirmed, but just as they are.
They
So
are.
it's true.
He even throws around the L word this time in this
Oh,
chapter chunk.
yeah.
Actually, I don't remember if it was him who
I don't,
said it or if it was Taryn who said that he loved her, but
I
one
think
way or
Taryn
another,
said,
he loves her.
yeah. But I
So
mean, he gives all the gushy words that are better than I love you anyway. So it counts.
it counts. Um, he also knew about DM being a guardian, and
Uh-huh.
we're going to talk about that more later, so I'm not going to say any more about it.
Oh,
But
we'll talk about it. We'll
yes.
talk about it.
And then Luther also knew about Arlie being a guardian, which I suspected he knew anyways, but it's confirmed
Yeah.
now. He knows that Arlie was a guardian, and he was the one to help her onto the island. However, he did not know about the plan to attack the crowns.
Yep.
Orly had told him that she needed some sort of special herbs that only grew there to aid in the healing of the king. And that's all she told him, which she
Yep.
lied to him.
Yep.
So.
And then we have a new character. We have Cordelia or Dell. She is the mother or the leader of the Arbor of Cell of Guardians. She was what seems like maybe friends with Arlie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Um, we're not really sure, but we I hope we find out more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she is also not a fan of Vance and his violent ways.
Oh gosh.
Speaking of Vance,
Vance. Fucking Vance. God, this guy. Dude, like, what do we have to say? He's a slimy, power-hungry, bloodthirsty piece of shit.
I mean that's pretty good.
I
I mean
don't
that
know
was
what
pretty
else to say
PG compared to
about him.
what we were thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude is out for blood,
He
man.
is.
That's
I
he
cannot stand
just
him.
he just he seems like he just wants the revenge kind of guy, and he just wants everybody to burn, like the whole world to burn.
Yeah, like if Henry's motives are twisted, Vance's are off the charts.
Yeah, he's
He's
on his
messed
own
up.
planet, man. But it
Yeah,
also just makes me wonder, like, is he something more too? What if he's not
maybe.
just more? I don't know. Like, why does he have such a freaking vengeance? I don't know.
True. Maybe we'll find out some more things about
That
Vance.
yeah, that's just a random thoughts and theories. It's
Yeah,
not like a real thoughts and theories, but
it's a random one, not a real one.
I don't know. But some of
Okay,
the random ones
I
keep
gotcha.
coming true.
That is true.
I don't know. We'll get more into that later. But
Okay.
first,
All right, and then we have Arlie, DM's mom. Um, she got herself captured because she went back to warn DM to run during the attack, and she's now being held in Fortos and awaiting execution.
yep,
And she is the leader of the Guardians, which we have been saying since book one.
yep,
And it's true. It's been confirmed now as she is leader of the Guardians.
yep.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I trust her just yet. I need to see more and hear more from her point of view. I don't really know what to think about her yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I don't trust her, so
Yeah.
I still think she's a baby stealer, but who we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, Breck. Breck is back, and now I just don't know how I feel about him.
I know.
Now I have mixed emotions, and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he is a fugitive in Fortos now after he stole all the weapons from the army or whatever, and he can't go back.
Mm-hmm.
So after he helps Dee escape, he is going to be headed north.
Yeah, he grew on me a little in
A
this
little bit.
chapter, but
But then like he was he was just sweet talking her to make
yeah.
her eat the food, which was poisoned.
Yeah,
Which I seen that one coming. I also seen that it was a trap. But anyway, I
and
seen
he
it
still has
coming.
a favor to call in. I don't like that. I still don't
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, me neither. Or is it gonna be like a don't kill this person? That's my favor,
Yeah,
is what I'm
maybe.
thinking it's gonna be, but
Maybe.
who
Yeah.
knows? We'll see.
All right, then we have Taryn. And first of all, I just have to put it out there that every time I try to type out his name on my phone notes,
Yeah.
it autocorrects to Tarzan.
Yeah.
And it makes me
I
chuckle
like
every
it.
time.
Like a golden
Sometimes I
haired
don't,
Tarzan. I like it.
yeah, sometimes I don't catch it. And then I'll be going back and rereading my notes and I'm like, who's Tarzan? This is a
You know
wrong
what I
story.
you know what I see in like 5 minutes before we got on here? It was a meme on Facebook about something like the only thing I can ever think about from my childhood, and it's like a image of Tarzan. And he's carrying Jane, right? And he's
Uh-huh.
got her on both hands, but he's also swinging on a vine.
Oh,
And then it has like the sketch of the back. It's like he's holding onto the vine with his butt cheeks.
okay.
All right, what else do we have with Taryn?
Sorry, hold on. Keep going.
She said no. She said no. I'm not ready for this.
Should I start over or should we start after the emoji?
We'll start after the emoji.
Cool.
Or let's just start over and then we'll pretend I didn't just say that.
I can't say Tarzan again now. I'm gonna start giggling. Okay, so Taryn is run through twice with Godstone and seems to be on death's doorstep for a bit, but he is ever the jokester and seems to have just he's really positive about the whole
Yes.
situation.
Yep.
Yeah, I just love that. He is fiercely loyal to Luther and Diem. Honestly, his character kind of gives me PTSD because he's a little too much like another character in another series. That's all I'm gonna say right
Yes, and I
now.
think we talked about this last time.
We
Like something he
did.
said, like oh, I can't remember what he said, but it was basically, "I'll protect you with my life" or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know.
I'm getting PTSD.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, I'm right there with you. Okay, Alex. I love Alex, and I love that we
Yeah.
are getting so much more of like this like together time with her. She is really she's taking her job seriously, and she's seeing the injustices that's like within the guard, that obviously she's looks
Hmm.
over them and everything, and she's really wanting to like make some changes, and starting with bringing mortals into the guard to keep the descended in line basically. So I like that.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
that.
liking the progression of her character for sure.
Yeah, she's cool. She's cool.
All right, then we have the King of Igneos. Um,
Yes.
this guy, I mean, he seems kind of like a kill first, ask questions later kind of guy.
Yep.
He does not allow outsiders into his realm. And then, like we said before, he can sense that something is different about Diem, which we'll get in again. We'll get in more to that later. But
Hmm.
he's also abusive and unkind to his Gryvern Tebold, which pissed me off so bad.
Yeah.
And why don't you tell us more
Yeah.
about him?
Okay. Tebold, the Igneos Scrivern, and I was right. We get to see him.
Yep.
I He also doesn't give her away to the king when he
Hmm.
definitely knows that they're there, and that's interesting.
I have
And
theories about
then
that too
yeah, and like
later.
how she says something about how she's this is what she says out loud when she's like, "Oh crap, the king can't hear me, but he can."
Yeah.
And he says something like, Gryvern's read intentions, not minds, jackass,
Yeah.
or whatever she says. Yeah. And so
And then
I
he
don't,
like snaps his head her way. Like
yeah. And
she
so
knows that he heard her, but
he was like, yeah, I know that you're not here to do anything other than you're just trying to
hmm
pass through. But also, is it like, I know who you are? Because we talked about this, like, I think it was last time, like,
hmm
mates,
hmm
Gryvern's mates. So,
I don't think he's gonna be a big bad grump. Like everybody says he's like
no.
terrifying, grumpy. I think he's just abused. And him and Sarai are,
And he has to do whatever the king tells him to.
yeah, exactly.
So, but he also
I
gives
feel
him
bad
time to
for him.
run or something with because he's like, um, Tybold said they fled to the dunes or whatever, which would have been in the opposite direction of which they were going.
Yep.
So then he would have got them to go the other way, and like when the guards came to look for him the next day or whatever, they were going to be going in the opposite direction of the guards would be looking. So,
Yeah, which she says like they have free will. The Gryverns have free will, but they cannot ignore a direct command from the
yeah,
crown. Okay, moving on to our next section, which is going to be world building. And this is where we just kind of talk about the different places we were introduced to, what they look like, and talk about the setting in general. So we are starting off in Arboros, um,
yep,
realm of root and thorn. The trees and foliage are different from that of Lumnos or Kindred Island, trees with trunks as thick as a horse,
yep.
vines everywhere, very green, lush ferns, and rainbow-hued flowers dotting the landscape. And if we remember from book 1D, has been here before as a child with her mother to gather herbs for the healing center.
And we also get Igneos, which is giant desert.
Mhm.
Um, but the nights are still cold in the winter. There's very few oases, few and far between, it sounds like. The mortals cannot cross the border or they will be instantly incinerated, as we've
Mhm.
seen. And then we also get a little bit about Igneos's, no, not immortal, just mortal city.
Mhm.
Um, has an oasis at the center. Homes and businesses are surrounded it. It looks like it used to be a nice place to live, but now it's
Yep.
scattered with skeletons and rundown buildings and no food or anything like that left. But all
Right.
the weapons have been left.
Yes. And then we also know that now the Guardians hold the island, the Kindred Island,
Yep.
but the Amerian army warships are surrounding the island and no one can get on or off.
Yep. And then we also know that half the ports in Maros have been blown up by the Guardians, and they are blocking
Mhm.
the waterways to leave the continent.
And then there's apparently a large camp in Montios where Arlie and Teller could be safe if
Yep,
they can get him
if
out.
they can get there. And I
Yeah.
think I want to say that's where Breck said he was going to head to, but I
And
don't
that's
remember.
interesting to me also because Montios is one of the places that is not really friendly to mortals, but
Yep,
the
and they're
Montios
very
king was very interested in Diem.
yeah, and they're also like very nomadic type people.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, history and lore. Here we go. So I think it's in chapter 13. She's talking with Alex and Alex is praying, right? And she
Mhm.
tells, I think they're waiting for they've ran off and they're
Oh,
waiting
yes.
for Taryn and Luther to catch up,
Yep.
basically. And Alex tells Dee that they offer up a drop of magic when they pray as an offering. Quote, when we pray to the kindred, we give an offering of magic, just a small drop, something to honor the gifts they bestowed. They say the magic given up in prayer is lost forever. In theory, that is. No one really knows for sure. Then, quote, that's why the kindred give the strongest magic to their most faithful servants. An ember given is a flame received. And that was something that her mom used to say. Or,
Mhm.
well, Alex's mom used to say.
Mhm.
And then in 15, we get more Godstone information. Small wounds can heal. If it is brewed and drink, it's a poison and a for sure death.
Mhm.
And Luther says 1/4 of small wounds can heal. But I have a question because when I want to say it was like chapter 4 or 5 or something, when Luther comes on Saray to come get him, doesn't he leave with 2 Godstone arrows, like one in his thigh and one in his shoulder?
I don't know if they were Godstone or if they were Fortosian Steel.
Oh, okay.
I think the
Maybe that was
bolts
it.
were Godstone, but I don't know if those were Godstone.
Because I had like a thought, like,
Maybe. Gosh, I don't remember.
is it because he's a halvesies? It didn't kill him? He's
Ah,
not full descended.
uh-huh. Interesting.
But if they're for Fortesian steel, then it is what it is. They could still cut his skin, but wouldn't be poisonous to him, right?
Right.
Because the
I don't have
Godstone
my
makes it like
Kindle down here, but I
poisonous
want
to
to go
them.
back and look at this now.
Okay, so the panel has come back from a quick break, and we have decided that it is undecided if he was hit with either a Godstone arrow. It was the shoulder and the thigh, and
Hmm.
we don't know if they were Godstone or Fortesian steel, but both arrows were being thrown at him, so we don't know which ones are which.
Right. They were randomly mixed together, so we
So
don't know what's
it
up.
is still a possibility, I guess, that because he's half mortal,
Hmm.
that the Godstone poison or whatever with the arrows didn't do anything to him. But that was an
I think
off
it's worth
track.
keeping on the table for right now.
It's keeping on the table, yeah, for sure. But it was a little off track, but
It's
it's
okay.
it's interesting to think about
It's what we're here
because
for.
of how many halvesies do we have, or how many halvesies are we going to see in the future and kind of
True.
stuff. So
Yeah, I didn't even think about any of that. So definitely still on the table.
it's
Not a
on the
bad thought at
table.
all. Hmm.
We'll circle back if we
Yep.
how many times have I said that? All right. So moving on, chapter 16. They're in Mortal City in Igneos, and we get a little history from Alex again. So Igneos, quote, Igneos used to be famous for its hospitality. The ring road was packed with shops and inns welcoming travelers. They even had patrols to help anyone lost out in the dunes. They had the least resources of all 9 realms, but they were the first to offer them up to anyone passing through. Then, during the Blood War, they tried to stay neutral and stay out of it. Oases were being poisoned, and they suspected it to be the outsiders. Both mortals and Descended were pointing the finger at each other, blaming each other.
Hmm.
Uh, when they asked, the army wouldn't help Igneos unless they joined the war. The crown gave in before the entire realm became uninhabitable because their water and all that stuff was being poisoned. So
Hmm.
obviously they had to do something. And so by the end of the war, there was hardly anyone left in the realm of Igneos as it was. and they stopped welcoming outsiders. And the new and current crown came in, and he banished all mortals from the realm. And then that's when those barriers went up so that any mortal passing in instantly incinerated.
Right. And then also, this is where Henry told Diem that supposedly that king, not the current one, but the one before, or maybe it was the current one, I don't
Maybe it
remember.
was the current one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But that he rounded up all the mortals, basically kept them from their oases and from leaving the borders, and let them just burn it, made them to burn in the desert and killed them.
Yeah.
And so, but then Luther's like, how do you know that's true? That's
Yeah.
just a myth that the mortals have been throwing around to spread hate.
Yep.
So,
And
and then that's kind of
basically
all they say
saying,
about it.
yeah. Well, they were also saying, like, do you believe everything the Guardians say? The Guardians will say
Yeah.
anything basically to get initiates and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
So who knows if that's true, false, whatever. But hopefully we find out.
Yes. I'm terrified of the cliffhanger that I know is coming at the end of this book because there's not a fourth book out yet.
I know the fourth book's not out yet, so I'm sure. And we didn't mean to make a cliffhanger for this
We're
either,
just
but
really
it
good
just
at this.
happened. All right. Clues
All
and
right.
foreshadowing.
Clues and foreshadowing. So here we're gonna just talk about the stuff that we think might mean something down the road.
Yep. Or things that have come up that we figured it out.
Yeah, it's kind of our I called it moments also
Yeah.
here. So
Yep.
starting in chapter 2, Diem, they take Diem, she wakes up, realizes she's an Arboros, and then they go and chain her up next to the Queen of Arboros,
Yep.
who they've also taken captive, which I find strange that they took the
Yes.
Queen of the realm they're hiding in currently captive. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then they go and they take the Queen of Arboros away. Like they barely get to exchange any words before they come and take her. And it seems like they're gonna kill her,
Mm-hmm.
but then they're like, "Oh, just forget." She's like, "What did you do to her?" And they're like, "Just forget that you ever saw her or spoke to her."
Yeah.
It seems off. That whole interaction seems off. I think there's gonna be more to that coming up.
Yeah. I
So
think so too. It's
yeah.
interesting. I agree with you. So, chapter 3. So Vance steals vials of her blood.
Hmm.
Um, and then the one kid that's helping like hold her down or whatever, it her blood gets on his hand or something, and he
Hmm.
acts like it burns.
Yeah.
Um, my, and that's a whole question in itself. But my
Right.
biggest question out of this was, doesn't Vance still have her blood? Like, I
Oh
know Luther
yeah.
said it wouldn't open the blood lock because it was taken, not given.
Uh,
But what if he finds out that he can do more with it? Like
oh.
crack the stone and
Yeah, because he
all the
doesn't know
things.
about that yet.
He
He
doesn't
thinks
know
the
about
stone
that.
was cracked by
And
the explosion.
that's why she keeps
Mm.
asking. She's like, what do you want my blood for or whatever? And that's
Hmm.
what she thinks he knows and what he's gonna do with it. But he's just trying to get into the palace basically to
Hmm.
kill everybody in the palace. And I don't know, like he has so I'm still stuck on that those black glittery pebbles or whatever that was around the burn site. I'm still stuck on that's Godstone, that she made that, right?
Oh yeah.
And then when they go back for either the funeral or the second time, I can't remember when she goes to find Luther's sword, but
Hmm.
all of them are gone, right?
Yep. Yep.
I'm still stuck on that those are Godstone, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think he's the one that picked up all the Godstone pebbles, and it, and now he's got her blood and he's got all this stuff going on. I
Yeah.
think he's either already figured some stuff out or he's about to figure some stuff out, and he's going to be like this big bad thing. And he's got Godstone, he's got her blood. Like,
I bet he was the one to pick all that up because that was our
we don't
question
know.
was
We
it
don't
him or
know.
was it
Or was it
Luther?
Luther? But
But if
mine was
it's
because he came. Oh, so it was the funeral first when they noticed that it was everywhere.
it was everywhere, yeah. And then
Yeah,
when
and
she went back,
Vance
when she
shows
followed
up
the
at the funeral,
compass.
and Vance is like just walking around chilling because Henry wants to talk to her alone for a second.
Yep.
and he's
Yeah,
being a
and
dick while he's there.
he would be able to recognize the Godstone because he knows what it is and what it
Uh-huh.
looks like because they're making weapons out of it. The Guardians are.
Uh-huh.
So he would have recognized it. I didn't think about that. Yep.
Uh-huh. So yeah, so I'm like I don't want him to be the big bad because then I feel like that just kind of takes away from how interesting this book could get if
I
it's just
agree.
some stupid mortal, but I didn't mean it
Yeah.
like that. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
So I don't want him to be the big bad, but it's kind of coming that he is the big bad. But also my
Mm-hmm.
other question is like, what if he's more than just a freaking mortal? And that's why he like knows about all this shit and why he's so
Oh.
bloodthirsty and
Oh.
ugh, I don't know. But I mean, I can step off my soapbox for a minute because I don't have any answers. I
Right.
want answers, but I don't have any.
I like where you're going with that though. I mean, I don't like it, but it makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right, and then chapter 7. So she's chained to the big tree by herself now,
Yep.
and she is guarded round the clock.
Can we pause for a second?
Mm-hmm.
When I found out that she, okay, so she's out in this meadow, right, to one big tree,
Mm-hmm.
and there's archers all around her. I was like, this is a fucking trap. This is a fucking trap for whoever's going to try and come in. And I thought about it. I was like, they're going to be Saray. They're going to try and kill Saray. I just knew it. Like I knew it. I don't know why.
Oh my
Was it that
goodness.
obvious to you or
No,
no?
that was not obvious. I don't think we should have paused.
I didn't actually pause. We're still recording. We're good. But
Cool.
I was like, I just wanted to pause you from your thought for a second because this was bothering me. Because
I never
I was
saw
like, this
that
is
coming.
100% a trap. And
I just
especially,
thought
yeah,
I just thought like, okay, she was able to pull the other tree out of the ground so easily. So they're like, oh, we got to put her somewhere easily accessible and around a bigger tree. That's all I
oh,
thought.
I thought it was so obvious. I was like almost mad. I thought it was so obvious.
Oh my goodness. I did not see that coming. I mean, after I read about them coming in and she kind of made that realization, I was like, oh, yeah, that was obvious, but it wasn't to me at the time.
Yeah, because that's what they want to do is they want to take all the Gryverns out. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, because obviously we see what their fire or whatever can do.
Yeah.
So.
Hmm.
Okay, sorry, you can continue. You were on chapter 7.
Okay, so chapter 7. So she's guarded around the clock now. She's chained to the big tree in the meadow. And she tries to make small talk and conversation with the guards that are guarding her because she's bored.
Yep.
But they really won't talk to her. She realizes that if she is sleeping or pretends to be asleep, they think she's asleep,
Mm.
that they will start talking freely. So she gets a serious case of narcolepsy and starts sleeping all the time, and they're dumb enough to fall for it, and they start talking. And she hears the guards talking about the Guardian's plans, and they say something at the end of one of their conversations about some descended man showing up out of nowhere to the camp and saying that he hates his kind as much as they do and asks if he can help and be a part of their group. And as far as I can tell, they let him in. Um, so then they say, these guards, they say, quote, he must have done something to prove himself, I guess. They say he's real powerful. The other says, I don't care. We shouldn't be working with them. It's bad enough that we have to play nice with two false quee, and then it stops. Of course.
Mhm.
Another open-ended statement. So, my first thought, obviously Diem is one of the two false queens. Um,
Supposedly.
is the other one the Arboros queen? Because there's some weird stuff going on, and it kind of seems like maybe she was putting up a front and like acting when they
Could
came to
she be
take her
faking makeup?
away. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe she was there to get Diem to break. I don't know. I don't know, but there's
Yeah.
something, I feel like there's something different about the Arboros Queen as well. So I'm thinking that that's who they're referring to.
So chapter 13, they think Remus is I'm sorry. I know it's Remus,
Hmm.
but I say Remus because I have a son that's named Remy. And
I
so
figured
it
that's why.
it throws me off every single time. So I apologize. Like I know who I'm talking about, but it doesn't sound like I do. So they think Remus is up to something, right? Um So Fortos sent soldiers to every realm, but there were definitely more sent into Luminos than any other
Mhm.
realm.
Mhm.
And Remus isn't telling anybody anything. Um, Amen isn't doing anything to help, but he also isn't doing anything to make things worse.
Mhm.
Um, and he gave Luther, Taryn, and Alex leave to go get DM. And before uh the rite of coronation or whatever, DM
Mhm.
had made Eleanor the new regent, right? Had made Eleanor the new regent, and that she should be ruling in DM's absence, right? But Remus won't honor it until he hears it from DM herself. So
Right.
he's just doing the most right now.
Yeah,
We
he's
just
just
don't
taking
know
advantage
what.
of the situation big time.
Yep. Yep.
And then also in chapter 13, it kind of seems like Luther's magic, it appears briefly, reappears briefly, which it shouldn't be able to because he's not a crown and he's in somewhere where it's not his realm, his Terra mirror. So
Yeah.
he should not be able to have any magic at all, but it does reappear briefly. And then apparently all of their magic actually seems to be trying to show its head, even though they're outside of their realm, which it makes sense for DM because she's one of the crowns. So they're the only ones that can keep their magic outside of their Terra mirror, but because she's a crown, but the others should not. But
Right.
Alex or Alix and Taryn and Luther are all getting pieces of their magic back here and there randomly.
Yeah.
So,
And then, but except we don't see any of DM's magic, which we assume is from all the flame root that she's been
right,
taking,
right.
other than when we see her magic at the big old open tree and the big old trap that they set.
Yeah, when she just
Hadn't
obliterates
been
the
taking it. Yeah.
Godstone spear into ash
Yep.
before it hits Sarai. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, unless this, what we left on this massive cliffhanger
Mm-hmm.
is her magic coming out, her magic hasn't really come up yet. So,
Yeah. And then in chapter 14, Vance makes a comment about Orally. He says she was supposed to be our leader, but she spread her legs for one of them instead, meaning a descended. So she was the leader of the Guardians before she became pregnant with DM. That I found interesting.
I'm still sticking with D isn't hers and D was a stolen baby. But yes, I see what you're trying to say about it, like
Yes.
that she was a
Yeah.
leader for that long. Yeah. Um, all right. Chapter 16. The King of Igneos comes. So first off, his Gryvern, T-Bold,
Hmm.
obviously doesn't give them away, right?
Hmm.
He's looking right at the shack or whatever that her and Alex are hiding in, and he doesn't say anything or give them away. And he also hears her. We know he hears her when she
Hmm.
says whatever she says. Gryverns don't read minds, they read intentions, asshole,
Hmm.
or whatever she says. And then she's like, oh shit, because he looks straight at her. So
Yeah,
he
she says it's super
knows,
quiet, but
yeah, but they have insanely sensitive hearing.
mhm.
Um, and then before they leave, Tybalt tells the king that he thinks they ran away or fled into the dunes. So in the opposite direction, which I kind of already brought up. But
Yeah.
so that's interesting. Um, so I think Tybalt is gonna help them somehow in the future because he knows that she's a good guy. So
And he's potentially, possibly our theory that he's made it to Sarai.
mates.
Yep.
Um, and then so okay, so I have the king says, quote, the sand tells me its secrets. It whispers to me that there are three in my dunes who do not belong. But you're not one of them, are you? You're something else. Well, no shit. Okay. But he continues, quote, I've had a crown on my lands before, but I know how the forging magic bends around them and shimmers at their feet. Tell me, Lumnos, why do you not feel like one of them? Why do you feel like one of mine? Dot, dot, dot. What the fuck does that mean? Was my first random guess at who her father was right?
Yeah,
And
yes,
I will go
possibly.
on. I will continue on this train here in a little bit, maybe even in like thoughts and theories. But So hold on. So he continues, quote, one of mine and yet not. You're something different, something new. Even the sand doesn't know what to think of you. Where you walk, the forging magic doesn't bend, it shatters.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps Sophos was right. You're an imposter.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
That
mean,
was a lot in that.
so she's a kindred, but
Obviously.
also, why do you feel like one of mine is very
I have thoughts on this in thoughts and theories,
interesting.
but
Okay, I can't wait to hear
yes.
yours.
Okay, chapter 18. When she's fixing up the herbs with the mortar and pestle for Taryn, she accidentally cuts herself and her blood falls into the mixture. She tries to
Mhm.
get a lot of it out, but she can't get all of it. And she's like, I got all these herbs and I don't have enough to waste. I'm just gonna have to go with it.
Yep.
There's no answers in this chapter, but I suspect her blood is gonna be the thing that heals Taryn's wounds.
Oh, 100%. Because, like, wasn't it the next chapter or whatever? She's like, wow, it looks great.
Yep.
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 So I agree with you. But the second she cut herself, I knew it. I was like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is exactly what's going to save her. But also, somehow, so this is like clues and foreshadowing. I think this is probably going to be the lifeline that saves Luther at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also on this, did Taryn know she was going? She said,
Hmm.
quote, so this is after she like cleans up his wounds or whatever. She says, quote, when his wounds were fully tended, I slouched back in my chair. Well, are you going to forgive me, or should I threaten to tell Luther you gave me the idea to go alone?
I missed that.
What?
I missed that. I was so stuck on the blood thing.
But then basically he goes, you wouldn't dare, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then she like smirks or something, and he goes, okay, fine, I forgive you. And then da 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 da. And then they go off into another conversation.
Yeah, I missed that a lot. That, mm-hmm.
Uh
So
huh.
he
So
knew
he
she was
knew
gonna
she was
go on this
going.
little
Yeah. Uh
excursion.
huh.
Hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, chapter 19, which is the final chapter that we read.
Yep.
Diem is burning up. They're heading down the coast trying to make it to Umbros, and everyone's like, "It's freezing cold. I'm so cold and whatnot." And she's burning up, and everyone else is freezing, but we don't know why. She just can't take the heat anymore. And then Luther, Taryn, and Alix tell her that her eyes and skin are glowing. And like even she mentions that the scarf she's wearing has little like burn marks in it, like it'd
Mm-hmm.
been touched by embers or something. And then the voice inside her starts telling her to burn, a command that she's never heard from her godhood before. It always tells her to
Mm-hmm.
fight, but never burn. And then she loses it and strips and then gets into the ocean to cool down. And the water starts steaming and bubbling around her. And then she burns. The end.
That's not the end, but
The end of what we got to read.
I swear I didn't do it on purpose. I literally just mapped out how we would get through this whole book in like 4 sections.
Uh-huh.
And that's seriously where I just pulled out of my butt for us to stop. And I
Yeah.
picked this before we even started reading. So we should get through this so that we can just keep reading.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow we're gonna find out what it means. She burns.
But what like surprised me real quick in chapter 19 about how they're trying to get past the guards or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and Luther's like, that's my mate or something
Oh,
like that.
yes.
I was surprised you didn't say shit about that. And also,
Yeah.
just like Taryn being like, yeah, you should have to like hear them all night or something like that or something. I was dying laughing, but I was waiting for you to put something in it in like clues and foreshadowing, be like, mates, does he know it? Does he know it? And he's trying to like subtly say something and da 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 da, or is he actually being protective because it's her mate? And da, da, da. I was waiting for this whole mates
You know,
conversation,
I
and
think
there was nothing.
at this point, it's so obvious. It's so blatantly obvious
I
that it's not
guess.
even worth mentioning anymore. It's like, yeah, they're mates.
So
Okay,
is
let's
he
get
being
on with
truth,
it so we can figure out when they're gonna figure it out.
or they'll figure it out when they fuck it out? But anyway,
Yeah, hell yeah.
oh my god, I really hope my husband's not listening on the other side of the door. But But okay, so then my question real quick for you on that.
Hmm.
So is he being serious? This is my mate, stay away from it, and that's why he's being protective. And is that why he's being a protective grumpy asshole lately? Ever since, like, what was it? It was right before what's his bucket, Vance, and all the guys come up and they have Taryn or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and they're basically like, I love you too, we're perfect for each other, and then I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna jump on you and we're gonna like jump bones. And she's like, do you think we have enough time before they come back? And he goes, not enough time or whatever. And they're making
Yep.
out. And then all of a sudden it's Taryn, right? And he's back and he's
Yep.
got, okay. So was that like their little moment? And then because he's been a protective fucking asshole since then? And
You
was
know,
he being
there's
absolutely 100% truthful? He's like, that's my mate. Keep your hands off my mate or whatever. Because remember, the guard's about to pull her hood down or whatever.
right. I think it's a convenience for him in a way because it is true and he knows it's true. I think he absolutely knows it's true. But kind of
You
like
don't think he's
maybe
acting on it?
well, I think kind of like maybe some other books that we've read, he is being a gentleman and waiting for her to realize it. He doesn't want to shove it down her throat. I shouldn't have said that. But I do think that it was a easy thing for it was just a natural thing for him to say, but also conveniently worked out as a good excuse. But she doesn't know it
Okay.
yet. I don't think she knows it yet. He totally does. That's
He
my theory
totally
on that.
does.
He does.
100%. Okay. See, I
Mm-hmm.
think he was acting on it. And I think it was all
Of
real
course you do.
emotions. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the mate master, but
Mate master. Okay.
the mate
I like it.
master.
I'll take it.
I just want something to be straightforward in this book.
No kidding. This book is bad about that. But I don't hate
Yes.
it.
I mean, that's true. All right. Honorable mentions. These are the things that we just didn't know where to put them. So we put them here.
Mm-hmm.
So, first, I have the dedication, which
Mm-hmm.
is for all those caught in the flames, remember that the hottest fires forge the strongest swords. I loved that.
That was cool. I noticed that too.
Yep. And then I might be upsetting some here, but the first chapter, chapter 1, we had so much potential for this to be a super epic start in the middle of a fight scene on the island. You know, we end the last book with like bombs going off
Mm-hmm.
and just all this happening, and I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna open page 1 and this is gonna be like, so there I was with blood running down my head and da 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 da, and this person's coming over with a spear and stabs this guy and guts him and da da da. I'm like so pumped, right? And then we
Mm-hmm.
wake up and and she just blacks out and we start in some totally different place at a different time, and she doesn't know anything that's going on, and it's just like, here, drink this flame root powder. Even, I mean, I guess they were forcing her to, but it's just boring for like the first like 3 or 4 chapters.
I
I was
know.
like, what the hell? Anyway, that's my honest opinions, and we can move on.
I
You don't have to
do agree.
agree.
No, I do
Okay.
agree with you. I was so expecting like, okay, this is where the fight's gonna start.
I'm like, this is gonna be epic. This is how we're starting this. I was
Yeah.
so excited. And then I was pissed almost instantly.
Yep, we're back to new characters and world building and yep.
Starting all over. Like, what the hell?
Yep.
I mean, we did get a little bit of fighting and stuff like that. Like, obviously, when um like the trap for Saray, and then when they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to leave the camp, and I so
Mm-hmm.
there's some, but I need more action, man.
I agree with you. I'm ready for some action now. It's we're past the
It's
point of
time. It
all
is
this
time.
conversation and stuff. Yep. I
Cool.
agree. All right, chapter 3. So, DM Vance and no, not Vance, it's Cordelia is asking her questions and whatnot. And I think Vance is there too. And she remembers, she goes, okay, so, quote, controlling the Heartstone could indeed be the key to changing the tides in the coming war, but I had learned my lesson about entrusting the Guardians with dangerous information. So she chose not to tell them that the Heartstone was, you know, a big part of this whole
Oh yeah.
situation. But you know what? It is about damn time that she learned to quit panic word vomiting, and I was very proud of her in this moment that she decided to finally keep her thoughts to herself and not
I
offer up information to try and show them her loyalty and all these things. Like, finally, it's about time.
finally, yeah. I had the same thought.
Yeah.
I had the same thought. So also in chapter 3, Breck tells her that Henry knew of all of this because of the letter.
Uh,
I told you. I told you.
yep.
You thought it was just a cute little letter or whatever. And I said, no, Henry knows what's going to happen. Henry knew what was going to happen. And this was like a, hey, we're still friends, right? We're cool, right? Like, I'm
And
about
I'll
to
see you
blow
later.
you up,
Yeah.
but we're cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When we find out that Henry was on the island and everything, and he's like in his letter, oh, I'll see you later, or whatever he says, he knew he was going to see her at coronation and all this was going to happen. You were right. I totally blew over the letter. You were right.
But like, my question is he an Arboros right now?
Well, no, because remember in the beginning, Luther says that he found Henry trying to get
Oh,
some of
yeah.
Arlie's bags of flame root onto the ship. And instead of breaking his neck like he totally wanted to,
He
he
brought him back to
thinks of
Lumnos.
Diem and brings him back to Lumnos. All right, chapter 8. Diem tries to leave the boat because Cordelia and Breck smuggle her out and they give her a
Yep.
boat with supplies and whatnot and tell her to head home mostly because she got to Cordelia with her thoughts and stuff and she tells her how Vance has her blood and there's this blood lock. He's going to get into the palace and he's going to cause bloodshed. And she
Yeah,
doesn't
she
trust
doesn't want
Vance.
innocents killed
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. So Cordelia's like, okay, we need to get you back. You need to quell Vance, basically, take care of that situation. So they smuggle her out. She's on this boat. However, the wind and the current, despite her best efforts, keep taking her back to Arboros. And she ends up back at Arboros on the shore. And she's not sure why this happens or who or what is controlling that magic, if that's what it was. I mean, it has to be magic that was pulling her back towards Arboros.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it was the Queen of Arboros. I still think there's something sketchy about her.
Yeah.
Um, but I also would have thought maybe it was the mating bond pulling her back to Luther, since he was actually at the camp at this point. She didn't know it, but he had showed up basically right as she left.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where my thoughts are going with that, but I figured it needed a mention.
My thought was that it was like maybe Luminos pulling her back to find and save Luther and get the gang back together. You know
Maybe.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Luther had offered him up basically. Because what did Taryn say? Something like, Luther had this plan that he was going to go and get himself captured, and then he was going to be
Uh-huh.
tied up next to Diem, and then Taryn was going to find a way to get him out. And then she said
Right.
something like, "Well, then what? Well, I don't know. We didn't get that far," or something like that. And I was like,
That's
"That
not
is
my
so fucking
area of
funny."
expertise, the planning part. Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, "I don't know. I'm just along for the ride, man."
If that is me, I'm with Taryn on that. I'm not a planner or a forethought kind of person at all. I'm like, I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. This is a tomorrow me problem.
This is more like Avengers type stuff. Like,
Yeah,
do it now, figure out the consequences later.
exactly. Yeah, that made me chuckle.
But that was my thought on that, was maybe it was
Okay.
Lumos though.
That's
Because
also a
like
good
he's,
thought.
because Luther's such this faithful servant or whatever to her. So
Yeah.
that was my thought.
All right, chapter 12. Luther says to Diem, "Don't you dare mistake compassion for lack of courage. Anyone can slaughter their enemies. Hate is easy. It's mercy that requires the greater strength." So I thought that deserved an honorable mention.
Same,
That was a good one.
same. Yep. Also in chapter 12, I think this is basically the same time, but Luther and Dee are still talking and she admits that she was a guardian.
Mm-hmm.
And Luther was basically like, "Yeah, I know. I watched you walk into the meetings. Girl, I freaking told you
You did.
again." I freaking told you again. It was Luther creeping in the shadows, and that was the tingling or humming
The
that she
humming.
felt when she was going into the meetings.
Yep.
He was there. He was creeping in the shadows.
Yep, that was a good thought because I didn't think about that. You were right.
Yep, I knew it. I knew it. And I think I texted you over this one. I was like, "I knew
Yep.
it."
You know. You
I like
did.
put the Kindle down and I got my phone out and I was laughing when I texted you that.
Yep. Oh man. Okay, so then again in chapter 12. So they're talking about the Royal Lodge slash cabin that she originally hung
Yeah.
out in. And how it's a good place to get away from the palace. And then Taryn mentions how like lots of the royals have even ruled from there when they need a little break. And he says this is a great place to be alone or not so alone. Wink, wink. See, I was right.
You're
The
right. You're right.
family cabin in the woods is going to be the place to do it. I was right.
Do it.
It makes me laugh because like your called it moments are like big stuff, theories, the whole story, and I'm
I
like, yep,
okay,
they're gonna do
you
it in the cabin.
it can be when they do it in the cabin. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. So now on to chapter 14. Alex and Dee are talking about praying to the Kindred again. I read all those quotes to you earlier, but she says, faith isn't always about prayer. Sometimes it's about sacrifice. And I
mm-hmm,
liked that.
mm-hmm,
Okay. So then we have in chapter 15, and I actually think this should have been inclusion foreshadowing, but whatever, we're already here. So things are looking grim for Taryn, and she goes to take watch, and she gets over the dune, and she starts just crying, like she's bawling, and
mm-hmm,
she's thinking about everything that's going on and how everything's just not working as well as she thought it would. And she decides she's going to pray, right? So she says, quote, listen, Grandma Lumnos, I muttered, I see what you were trying to do here. A descendant raised as a mortal, a queen who doesn't want her throne. It's all very poetic, but you might have mucked it on this one. I really think you've got the wrong girl. My nose wrinkled. Why not Luther? He knows how to avoid making an enemy out of every descendant on the continent, which I seem entirely incapable of doing. If peace is your goal, surely he would be a better choice to wear your crown. I narrowed my eyes, head cocking. Do you even choose anyone? Maybe all this talk of you choosing someone worthy is a lie made up by greedy men to convince the world they have divine permission for all their evil deeds. Maybe you're not handing out blessings at all, and it's up to us to decide whether we become villains or heroes. Groaning, I rubbed my face. Why am I talking to some dead lady who doesn't care? The desert is drying out my brain. I climbed to my feet and began plodding back to wake Alex for her turn on watch. As I climbed up the dune, I paused and looked skyward one last time. You don't get my prayers yet. Save Taryn and get us home. Then we'll talk.
mm.
So I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm saying, but the last time she was praying to Lumnos, right, or whatever, she was like, give me a sign at the challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately she's cut off by Ron the Weasley descended man, and he's the first to challenge her. So I do think that Taryn will be saved, and we're going to have this other big moment. And I'm pretty sure we might have just cliffhangered ourselves with
Yeah,
it where we stopped, but she does say save Taryn and get us home, then we'll talk. But I do think at some point she will get to talk to Lumos. I'm hoping she does.
I think you're right. And also where she says, if peace is your goal, I'm not your girl,
Mm-hmm.
basically. I don't think peace is the goal. I think
I don't think it
eventually
is.
peace is the goal, but it's not like keep things the way they are, but also try to find peace by not making anyone mad. It's going to be peace through war first.
Yeah. And I do like the maybe you're not handing out blessings at all, and it's up to us to decide whether we become villains or heroes.
Hmm.
I do like that. I
Yeah,
do
that's
like
a good
that
one.
because obviously, like, think about it, like Vance is definitely deciding to be a villain,
Yeah.
and she's trying to be a hero in a way, even though
Yeah.
she's like, I don't want all this pressure, this is too much for me. So do you want to do your thoughts and theories first?
I think you should go first because I've gone first the last couple episodes.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have much for thoughts and theories other than kind of that last little thought I had there with the whole like Lumnos thing. Like, I think she will get to speak with her at some point. I hope so, because this is starting to get boring. And like I said earlier, I'm so bored. I'm bored and mad that we had such potential for this to be such an epic, like start of this book,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, oh, that already happened, we already missed it all, you were blacked out. Like, are you kidding me right now? I'm over that part, like
Yeah.
that stuff that keeps happening, like where we're missing action and stuff like that. But then they're also saying about how there's not even any fighting going on the island. Like the mortals just have it.
Yeah.
Nobody's fighting, and the army is just has their warships around it. Like nothing's really happening. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
um, and so like regarding the King of Igneos, okay, what does he say? Something like, why do you feel like one of mine or whatever?
Uh-huh.
And this brings me back to episode 1, episode 2, when I was theorizing who her dad could be.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of do have this other thought, and I'm kind of hoping it's not true, but I kind of see it being true. So let's say that Orly is her mom, like her actual mom, mortal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the King of Igneos is her dad. And for her to still be kindred, she'd have to be born blessed. But what if she's not blessed? She's cursed. She
Mm-hmm.
is the curse. And therefore she is kindred, but she's the curse that's supposed to destroy all of them since they can't play nice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why her blood cracks the stone. But if her blood is healing, also that doesn't work unless it's like she just kind of said in that quote I was just talking about, where they get to choose to be villains or heroes.
Yeah.
um but daughter of the forgotten, and I feel like the dying king Ulther said something about the curse too, but maybe I could be wrong. So that's just kind of where my brain is right now, is trying to figure out how that all comes in. But we had talked about it. I an episode or two ago, you'd asked me about that. What do I think like the cursed part of the Kindred curse
Yeah.
saga is, or whatever? Is she the Kindred's cursed one, or is she the curse, or is she going to
Mm-hmm.
break a curse, or
Or maybe because she, like, when her blood fell on Vance's accomplice, it burned him. But when her blood goes into Taryn, it heals him. Maybe her blood is blessed for those who deserve it and a curse for those who don't.
yeah. So she is that middle
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
I'm still I'm still on the train that like Orly stole her as a baby off the Kindred Island, but I could be
My
wrong.
only question with that theory was thinking about this literally just today is if Orly is not her mom, how can Teller's blood also open the bloodlock? Because it's the royal blood and anybody who is directly related to that person. And
That's
we
her
know
brother.
that
That's like,
Orly is Teller's mom.
yeah, but she considers Teller her brother.
Right.
I don't know. I still think it would work, but
I'm not
what do
debunking it
I
at all.
know?
I think it's still on the table. It's a good thought.
But we don't know that Teller's blood opens the bloodlocks.
That is true. We have not seen proof of that.
Yeah. And I'm at
That's
the
true.
point where it's not being shoved down my freaking throat and it doesn't have proof. I'm not buying it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. But I do I'm still on the Orly Stoller, because I don't think Orly's good. And
Mm-hmm.
I also so this was like another thought that kind of came up while we were talking tonight, but like, is somehow Orly actually, is the Queen of Arbros, or the one that they seen or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Orly, and the actual Queen of Arbros is actually the one that's imprisoned? If
Hmm.
somehow there's like some shape shifting of some sort, because obviously we know that can happen, because the Queen
Yeah.
of Umbros can like shape shift or whatever.
Right. Right.
Or is the Queen of Umbros pretending to be the Queen of Arbros? Or
Oh, I didn't think about that. Huh. Yeah,
I
because she
don't
can
know.
take on different forms. She presented
Yeah.
as an old woman in the alley.
So how do we not know that anybody else can't do that?
Oh, yep.
But yeah, that's what I don't trust Orly. I don't
No.
think she's good. So those are all my really like thoughts and theories right now. Like I said, I don't know where this is going because I totally thought we were walking into war and I was so excited and we weren't. And now I'm just
Uh-huh.
like, what the fuck? So I don't really have much more thoughts and theories than all of that.
It's so early, it's hard to have too much yet, I think.
But it's not early.
It's not early in the
This is
city.
book 3, man.
Yeah.
We should we should have some like we should be building the conflict of this and now we're just confusing the shit out of everybody. I don't like
Yeah.
it.
Oh.
Okay. Now give me your thoughts and theories.
Okay, well, first of all, one of my kind of like thoughts and theories was obviously called it moment. Arlie is the leader of the Luminous Guardians,
Yep.
and has been for nearly a decade. We called that book one. Is she the leader of all the Guardians, though? Do they have like a major leader, do you think? Or is she just the
I
leader
thought she
of
was just
Lumnos?
Lumnos. I thought she
Okay,
was just Lumnos. And then like
okay.
Vance is like taking over her position while she's away.
My only reason I wonder this is because Cordelia does mention that she's speaking of Orly and she says, quote, she led us for nearly a decade. Us. Like she led us for nearly a decade. And
Oh, I must
Cordelia
have
is the
missed that.
leader of the
Our
Arbros
gross. So yeah,
cell. So is Arlie the leader of, I don't know. I kind of think that maybe she is the leader of all of them. Maybe.
she could be. And that's why she would be the one that would plan the attack on the island.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one kind of stood out to me. So one of my questions for you was how do you feel about Arlie and where do you think her loyalties truly lie? But you've already kind of answered that. So,
Yeah. See, like, okay, so my thing is, okay, so if okay, let's say she did have this baby, which would be Diem with
hmm.
the King of Igneos, right? And that's why she was giving her so much flame root because she didn't want her to be found because she would have been a halvesies, right?
Uh-huh.
And then that's why she was with Luther, like, you don't ever talk about or don't ever even look at my daughter, basically,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Um, I just I don't know how she doesn't know that she's kindred. I mean, I guess we don't know that she's kindred, but I think she's hiding that and always has been. And
Yeah.
like, is she using it to her advantage? Is she trying to be nice and keep her from this curse or whatever? Like trying to hide
Mm-hmm.
her from this curse or whatever that we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't like Orly and I don't trust her.
I don't trust her yet either. We definitely need to see more of her. And I'm thinking
Yeah,
we probably will. I think her loyalties will, I'm hoping her loyalties will fall with Diem, just in general. Descended
hopefully.
mortal doesn't matter. Like they're gonna fall with Diem. I hope. But if she's been leading the Guardians for over a decade or like close to a decade, then how deep rooted is her, you know, desire to be part of the cause? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out. I hope.
Yep.
And then I think there's definitely something going on with the Queen of Arboros, but I did not think, because one of my questions for you was, is the Queen of Arboros dead or is she in on something? And you saying that she could maybe have been the Queen of Umbros posing as the Queen of Arboros, I think you may have hit the nail on the head with that one, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
Queen of Arboros, I mean, I guess unless they were giving her flame root as well, she should have been able to use her magic in Arboros.
In Arros. Yeah. She should
She
be
was
really
there.
strong too.
This way, DM's like, you took the queen of the realm you're hiding in captive. Are you idiots?
And then like in the first like couple sentences or something, they 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 only gave Diem. So okay, so like for the flame root or whatever, they gave all the rest of the crowns one scoop, right?
Yeah.
They gave Diem three
Uh-huh.
because they said they thought she was the strongest or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
And then like the whole time, the Queen of Umbros is just sitting there smiling, like in the very end of the
Yeah.
last
She
book.
totally knows
So she
things. I
was in
mean,
on something. She knows something.
yeah.
Like,
She knows who her father is. She knows that her father is supposedly waiting for her, whoever he is, wherever he's
yeah,
at. Yeah. I think you may have hit the nail on the head with that one.
I don't
I
know,
didn't think about
but
that.
maybe we'll see.
We'll see. All right. And then obviously there's something special with DM's blood. First,
Yep.
it cracks the Heartstone. Second, it appears to burn the mortal, helping Vance when they're forcibly trying to take her blood.
Yep.
And then third, it appears to have healing qualities against the Godstone toxin in Terran's system. So
100%.
her blood is totally special. There's going to be something a
Or
lot
is
more
it
that comes with
like,
that.
or is it like because she can make the Godstone or whatever, so
So she can
therefore she can
counteract it.
counteract it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of
Something like that.
was my thought. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's gotta play a big part. I'm just wondering how long it's going to take them to realize it, though. I think
Yeah.
she's realized that it was her blood that cracked the Heartstone, but
Oh,
how
she
long is it
knows it was
gonna?
her blood that did
Yeah,
it.
she does know. How long is it gonna take her to realize that her blood is healing Terran though? Because she gives him another dose of the herbs and whatnot when they're on the beach, um, and like cleans his wound and whatnot, but without her blood in it. And so I'm wondering if the veins are gonna come back, it's gonna
If it's
start
gonna get
spreading again,
worse.
and then she's gonna be like, well, why did it work the first time? And if they're gonna like, when is it gonna click? I have a feeling that Terran is gonna be like on his deathbed before
Oh,
she realizes
maybe.
it, or maybe she accidentally like bleeds all over him and then he's like magically healed. Yeah, that's a little mini
Maybe.
theory about that situation, but it's obviously special.
Okay. I like that.
Okay, and then they keep waving this off, but I thoroughly believe she can speak with creatures like someone from Phanos. The horse, obviously Sarai, that's different because it's the Crown's Gryvern, but she was
Yeah.
able to speak with her horse, and then she was able to communicate with the Igneous Scriber. And
You think so?
I think so. I think so. I think that there's something there.
He can read intentions, not minds, jackass, or whatever she
You're
says.
right. And I guess, yeah, he hears her, and they do talk about how the Gryverns can understand pretty much, like they don't say it, but the Gryverns can understand what people are saying to them.
Yeah.
But she's got a connection with nature, with the creatures. She
Does
had a
she have
connection
all the
with the
freaking
flowers.
powers?
Yes, that's my biggest theory right now
Okay, that's
is
what you're
that,
thinking.
yes, that's where I'm going with this. So
Oh,
I believe very strongly that she can take on whatever powers of whatever realm she is in. And I kind of wonder if eventually, towards the end, in whatever big battle I'm sure we're going to end up in, she can actually channel any power from any realm
yeah.
once she practices. And that's why it was telling her to burn when she's in Igneos, because they had not crossed
Igneous.
over into Umbros yet. And I think the only reason it's not fully showing its head at this point is because the flame root is still in her system. But that's why it's telling her to burn because she's in
And that would be
Igneos.
why she could pull over the freaking tree in Arboros.
Uh-huh. I think she can take on any power from any realm. That's my biggest theory moving forward right now.
Mind blown. Okay, I got you. Girl, I am so with you. And I'm like, how the hell did I miss this?
I'm wondering too, because usually this is your thing.
I know. I probably would have got there because I was like, okay, why are we burning? Why is she so hot when everybody's
Uh-huh.
so cold? And then I was like, okay,
And
I
they
kind
said
of
her
thought
eyes were glowing. The king of Igneos
glowing,
had glowing flame-colored eyes.
glowing orange eyes.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. So she can take on the
Interesting.
powers of the realm she's in.
Would that be like why you feel like mine, but different?
Yes, I
Because she
think
has a
so.
little bit of everybody's freaking
Yeah, so she can take on enough of their magic that it kind of shields her from his senses with the forging magic.
interesting. I need them
Yes.
to get to Umbrios.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. She's going to be able to read people's minds and plant thoughts in their
Dude,
heads.
dude, can you imagine?
I know. It's going to be sweet.
Hopefully, all the flame route is about to wear off, or it is wearing
I
off.
think it is going to pretty
I think
quick
it's
after
wearing
they go
off. Like
into
currently,
Umbros.
we
That's
just
my
decide to
thought.
cut it in the middle.
Well, it says, I mean, the part that we suppose ended up ending on, she gets into the ocean and the voice is telling her to burn, and then it says, and then she burns. So it comes out.
It
The
comes out.
fire or whatever we're gonna find out.
Something comes out, and it's not Taco Bell, man. We know that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, I probably should have ended with that thought because that was a good one. But my secondary little mini theory here is okay, so the Gryverns were brought over by the Kindred themselves. They've been around since the dawn
Yes.
of time of Amarian.
These are like the oldest creatures that we know of.
Right. So that means that they would have been there when everything started, when
Uh-huh.
the Kindred were there, when they mated with their mortals, when they created the Descended, all that stuff. The
Uh-huh.
Kindred wanted to make a good world, And the Descended were supposed to be the ones that helped make it good. They were supposed to like guard the mortals and help make their lives better. And then they failed. um,
Yep.
and so the Gryverns may have no choice but to serve the crowns, but they have their own thoughts and feelings. And so again, I think that maybe she's going to be able to speak to them because the queen of, is it Phanos? Yeah, Phanos says she can speak to all creatures, even Sarai. And so I think that because she can take on the magic from any realm, she's going to be able to speak to them. And then the fact that she's most likely kindred, or at least more than descended. Um,
Yeah.
and that I think that maybe the Gryverns also want a new land. I'm sure they're tired of being chained to the crowns the way that they are. And I think the Gryverns are going to be huge in helping her create this land that the kindred originally desired and were trying to start and like bringing everything back. And I think the Gryverns are going to be a big piece of that. So that is the end of my thoughts and theories.
Okay. I have one more that just came to me.
Okay.
Um, I'm not sure. I don't know. This might sound stupid as it comes out, but okay. So you know how it's called the Kindred Curse Saga or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the Kindred's curse, but we haven't talked anything about how all the books are spark of the Everflame, um, glow of the Everflame, burn of the Everflame. What if she's like this reincarnation of the Everflame tree?
Oh.
And that is the curse of the curse of the kindred because the kindred cut down the Everflame
They built
tree.
their temple over the top of it.
And now she's the one that's coming back. And that's why she was able to crack the heart stone that
Uh-huh.
holds all the magic and everything.
Yeah.
See, I don't know exactly where this is going, but
No, I like where you're
why
going with
is
this
of the Everflame in all
in
of it and
everything.
she is our main character? Maybe we're thinking that she's the curse, but maybe she's not the curse. The kindred got themselves into a curse when they came over here and took over,
Oh. Yeah, because
and
everything was
she's the
fine and then
Everflame or whatever because
mm-hmm.
she's different. What if you're right? Maybe she has all these powers because she's different. Maybe she's not kindred. Maybe she is something else.
Mm-hmm. I also think that in her cracking the God's or not the Godstone, the Heartstone, with it cracking in a way, because that like is what held the magic together. That's what held the
Right.
magic to each realm. And by her cracking it, she's kind of like unleashed. I don't know if I want to say pure magic, but they're like Taryn, Elix, and Luther are getting their powers here and there,
Right.
spotty, when they're not in their Terramere. So she's opened, I think she's kind of opened up this like
Well,
taken the
okay.
chains off of the
Well,
borders
that's what it
a little
said. Like
bit.
when I can't remember whatever part, but it says like when the Heartstone, whatever, like the king says, or maybe it's
When
like the
forgotten
voices or
blood
whatever.
on Heartstone falls, I'm trying to remember it.
Something something, but it's supposed to be that all the realms, all the borders, everything will break. So like they could have their magic
Yes.
in all different places because all the borders
Yes.
will be gone. So I think
It
that's
does say
obviously
that.
what happened.
Yeah, I think when it's fully rid of, when they're rid of the Heartstone completely, their magic, there will not be borders anymore. They will just all have
And
all
it'll
of
be the
it.
magic of the land like they were talking about.
Yeah.
Because there's the kindred magic, which are is in the descended, and then there's the other type of magic, which
There's
is
the
was from
forging
the
magic.
Everflame tree or whatever.
Hmm.
No, that's not the forging magic.
No.
But
Yeah.
it's like the other the elemental app magic or something like that. I think we talked
Right.
about it last time. I'll
Yep.
look and see if I can find it. But yeah, that's what I thought. And I thought that was obvious, but maybe it wasn't. But that's
Oh, I
what
had,
happened when she cracked it.
yeah.
So magic is basically just, but it's like elemental magic, not descended magic. So
And because it's only,
descendants don't have their like regular magic anymore.
and because it's
Whatever
only
magic is,
cracked
yeah, it's
right now,
not
it's just kind of like
completely,
leaking. the
Yeah.
little bits here and there. They get little glimpses of it. But when it's done away with, it's going to be a flood of just all of it.
Yeah.
And I forgot I wrote this down, but I also have a little like I called it a pre-thought before I started reading. I was
Pre-thought.
reading through the little things about the realms again, like talking
Yeah.
about the eye color at the very beginning of the book because it's in every book.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm
I went to
reading
go
it
look
and
at
for
that.
some reason I was like this sounds I don't know why it sounded like it was different. I actually had to go back to the first book and the second book and cross-reference make sure that it was still the same wording because it
Hmm.
seemed more. And I think maybe it seems more because we're further into it now.
Oh,
It's
maybe.
the same wording. It's all the same still. But I realized, um, I mean, they have so much more meaning now, I feel like, since reading. But Montios, it says, Violet stone to match their gaze, beware their ice at end of days. It's the only one that mentions end of days. And then the old, I don't know, it just made me think like the old
Hmm.
man king of Montios, he knows something for sure.
Oh
And
yeah.
why is their realm the only one in the very beginning that talks about the end of days? And then
Hmm.
supposedly it's not open to mortals, but there's a place for Arlie and Teller if they need to go. There's like a
Hmm.
camp for mortals there. I don't know. I think Montios is also going to have a very large part in whatever's going to go down
Like,
as
and
we're.
I still want to know why he was like looking at her arm
I know that was
with like
weird.
disappointment.
Like her
Like she
hair and
go and
her
get a
eyes, I get
tattoo.
that, but
I need to see the tattoo.
yeah. Yeah, why her arm? Maybe
What
it
kind
was
of
her
tattoo we
veins.
getting?
Maybe he can see through her veins, see her special blood. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess maybe. But he like looks disappointed, remember? And then he looks up at a
Yeah.
crown
Uh-huh.
and he's disappointed by her crown. But then Luther says something about how he had the one vision with her crown and it was different.
Yep.
Something he'd never seen before, never seen again.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
Yeah, so that's all I've got.
Well, cool. I like it. We went off and I like it. And I think
Yeah,
I love how we thought this was gonna be like a short episode and it's not.
I know.
So let's get into it. So jaw tick counter 18 already for this book. And most of them were jaw clenching, which is the worst to me. Like all I can think about is like how much that would hurt your teeth. That's funny.
Okay, growling count. 16, and most of them were Luther.
Yep. Yep. That's where we're at. Cry counter, where you at, Jess?
Still at the one from, half from one portion and
A
half from the
half and a
last.
half.
Nothing for this section.
Half plus half makes one.
Yep.
I'm still at a big fat zero.
Yep.
All right. So we promised a clue for our next series.
Yes. So your first clue can be found in a reel that we posted on Facebook and Instagram.
It was also posted on YouTube as a short as well.
And so of the 4 books in the little video, if you go and watch it, all are the first book in their series. Your first clue, the color red can be found on the cover of our next read.
So if you haven't seen the video, go check them out on our Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And hey, while you're there, you should hit those like and follow and subscribe buttons just to help us out.
Yes. So next week's episode, we will be reading and discussing Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole, book 3 in the Kindred Curse series, and we're going to do chapters 20 through 39.
So this will be our part 2 of 4 for this book. So make sure you read that section before coming back.
If you're enjoying reading along with us or just enjoying our conversations and theories, be sure to like this video and hit that like and subscribe on your way out.
And reading all these series with book besties is so much fun.
Yes, so share with your book bestie as well.
And until next time, fill your drinks with ice.
And your books with spice.
Bye.
Bye.